Hey, there are two big pieces of news today to share. First of all, if you're catching this video before June 11th, that's Friday of the week that I'm making this video, it's not too late to get in on this incredibly enormous, very for a good cause, Indie Itch bundle on Itch.io called the Indie Bundle for Palestinian Aid. Now, that's money going through to the United Nations to help out with emergency child services, to help out with shelter reconstruction, help out with food distribution, help out with work and other things happening in areas where civilians are affected by warfare. That's all money that's going from Itch through the United Nations. Now, that bundle is organized by, this is coincidental, this isn't through us, this is Alana Lanier, who is HomeTeam Game Dev's morale specialist. In addition to this, in addition to her great work on Good Looking Home Cooking through Team Toad House and their Twitch streaming and so on, she's the organizer for this bundle, and it's got over 1,000 games on Itch, most of which are paid, all within nothing more than a $5 donation. Now, you can donate more than that if you're able to, but $5 will get you 1,000 games on Itch, including some books and resources. Now, this is part 2 of the announcement today, and that is that among those books and resources, a late addition to it is a whole set of HomeTeam Game Dev materials. So even if you have just wondered from the outside about our textbooks, right, like the Hands-on Intro to Game Programming textbook, basis of my courses on Udemy used by over 300,000 students, or about our Video Game Developer Strategy Guide, which is like the top 50 articles I've written out of 5 years of weekly articles. If it's something where you're thinking about, even from the outside, right, our From Tutorials to Original Games exercise booklet. It's only like 30 pages, but in that booklet, it covers our philosophy, our approach, our strategy, our exercises that help keep people get from they're stuck just doing tutorials, they need to do original projects, how do we make that shift? And it has exercises for how to navigate selecting tasks in your own teams, has exercises for thinking through the process of breaking down a bigger project than it takes in one sitting, so you can get beyond game jams into doing things that take weeks and months of time to accumulate, and a strategy to build up to that. It also has exercises there for programming kata, since very foundational practice things. So in HomeTeam, for example, we're a very project-based approach, and one downside to that is that you only get practice at certain pieces of that once per project. So when you're on a longer-term project schedule, you don't maybe get as much experience doing just very basic things about input, about movement, about systems that, again, maybe a game only needs once or twice early on. And so these kata kind of give you a case to revisit in the abstract what's really happening down in under the hood when your game is taking mouse input, keyboard input, when objects are moving, bouncing, changing, how are they being drawn to the screen, coordinate-wise and otherwise, just exercises for those. All that's included in there, in addition to both of my audiobooks, right? So that includes Self-Command, the productivity audiobook, which involves using a little whiteboard to help keep yourself on task, as well as Self-Calm, which is my modernization of Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, a classic Stoic text in which there's some public domain translations, but they're very, very archaic in their wording. I have modernized those, expanded upon them, and so on. And you might be thinking, okay, well, those last two audiobooks, what does that have to do with game development? So here's a few quotes from some game developers, professionals. So Farbs says, when I want to finish something, I need it to keep moving forward, so I have to commit to completing the occasional task. I found Chris's technique excellent for this. Ryan Ike, composer. As a chronic scatterbrain, I cannot tell you how much it has improved my productivity. If you're very easily distracted like me and staying on task has been a challenge, I super recommend it. Tons of stuff on how to reprogram your mindset to more productive and kinder to yourself. Chris's work is a huge resource for doing better work and feeling better about it. Can't recommend it enough. Akash the Car said, if you have any to-do list system, it's easy to get overwhelmed looking at it and never get anything done. Self-command forces you to distill what you're working on to one specific thing that you're currently doing. That's all you need to think about, which means your focus skyrockets and you can get more done in less time. He's a great audiobook narrator too. Get Chris's books. Thank you, Akash. Jake Burkett. Been using Chris's self-command method all year. It works. I'm a pretty organized person with to-do lists and spreadsheets, etc. I need to be in order to run my business effectively. But the self-command method helped me take things to a new level in a difficult year and beyond. I recommend it. This is very easy to get started. And I want to stress, of course, I know Jake. Jake's one of our advanced trainers in HomeTeam, but I didn't give him a free copy of this to review. This is him out of the blue, got the copy another way through another person, found out about it, and then sent me that. Okay, Aaron McCarty. Self-calm lives up to its name. It takes a Stoic concepts in clear, concise language, which I found was a helpful and centering way to start my days. For someone who is familiar with the other modern Stoic voices like Ryan Holiday, but unfamiliar with the original text, this book helped flesh out my knowledge of the topic without feeling bogged down by historical language. Self-calm helps give perspective to the common trials of life. Now, Dimitri Rohan said, I started my second listen through of Self-calm. I can honestly say that the thoughts it provoked have contributed to a marked improvement in life as to how I cope with stress. Thank you for making this. Thank you, Dimitri. So, but my point is, right, those are things that when you're making games are going to be challenges you're working with, of how to keep yourself on task, especially for a longer term thing where the payoff isn't immediate. You're not in a game jam, you're building longer projects. Really, we reverse engineered self-commands methods out of things I was finding I was helping people with anyway for game development that are exactly the same problems you run into if you're trying to start a podcast, trying to write an audiobook, trying to write an ebook, trying to build a website, trying to start a business, whatever the things you might be trying to do. A lot of it generalizes, and that's all self-command is. So it actually originated as helping game developers with these techniques and then finding ways to generalize that outside of game development. And meanwhile, the self-calm stuff, again, it's a case where sometimes we're bound up for reasons that have nothing to do with focus on the task, but just other stuff about how we think about failure, about how we think about difficulties, about how we think about hardship, and so on. And granted, obviously, not medical advice or psychological treatment or any of that kind of stuff, but it is just ways of thinking that can be helpful to us in having another way to look at stuff we're navigating, which at the end of the day, even if our only lens is productivity, and not that's the only important thing, it does help us keep it together, stay on task, stay productive in a way that ultimately can help us feel better because we have evidence to build on, right? Because we're doing the things that we mean to do, because we are not letting things overwhelm us. And so it's a technique I found helpful for me. It's very old from classic philosophy texts. But anyway, so all those materials are bundled in together as part of that indie bundle. So if you already got that bundle, if you've already paid the $5 or more donation towards the UN, it's already going to be in your collection. If you haven't, and you get this video before Friday, June 11th, it's not too late to literally get it with over 1,000 other indie games and about 20 other books. So that's pretty cool. That again is both the audio courses. That's all 3 of the textbooks that I mentioned. Speaking of which, if you catch this video after June 11th and you're like, oh shoot, is it too late? Well, sort of, right? At that point, it's too late for the indie bundle. However, the materials will still be up on itch. And this is something where historically they've only been on Gumroad. They've only been through a few other different channels or platforms. This bundle, because the only way to make it available to the bundle was to put this material on itch. I gathered those materials together, put them on itch. Now, when you add up their individual costs piece by piece by piece from the other platforms, they total up to about $180, but we've put them on itch for 35% off permanently. So $117 for all 5 of those together. If you catch this video after June 11th, but if you're catching it on or before Friday, June 11th, 2021, then check out the link in the description for the indie bundle for Palestinian aid. Again, that's money that's going through itch.io to the UN for helping out civilians in areas that are under destruction and warfare and blockade and other kind of circumstances that are affecting civilian lives. That's what they're on the ground out there helping people with. And again, you know the money is going straight through itch to the UN, although the bundle is organized in terms of getting the developers together, organizing the moderators, curating the content by Alana Lanier, who coincidentally is HomeTeam's morale specialist. So that's it for today. Those are my 2 announcements, right? So we've got one announcement is that Indie Bundle is still available. If you're seeing this video before June 11th, 2021, check it out. Get the link in the description. $5 or more donation. They've already raised more than $500,000. They're shooting for $1 million. We'll see. I believe they can do it. And then secondarily is that these materials, even if you're catching this after the bundle, so you couldn't get them as part of the bundle, are still available as a collection now at 35% off altogether on itch.io. And of course, this is separate from HomeTeam membership, right? Maybe you don't feel like a subscription. Maybe you don't feel like one-on-one calls. Maybe you don't feel like you want or need yet that custom one-on-one help with your projects. But you're curious about these resources, about the textbooks, our methods, our processes, the stuff that I've really been training people in, frankly, since 2004, when I started the first college organization doing this stuff, or in my lifetime, at least the first group doing it, and then similar pattern in 2010, and then another similar test pattern in, I think it was 2014, before, of course, HomeTeam started under another name in 2015, and it's been my full work ever since. But anyway, spent most of my adult career working with people on these methods, encapsulating that material, all yours if you get that bundle, if you're able to help make the donation to the UN. Otherwise, if you catch this video after June 11th, 2021, still available on itch. That link will also be in the description. Pick up the bundle and or the collection of materials on itch. That's it. Have a great day.